What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for March 6, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the podcast. Was just looking through my time hop, and apparently this day last year we were broadcasting from Mexico, having some sound technical difficulties where it sounded like I was underwater. The background was blurry, but it's just a good reminder of how far we've come. We talked about yesterday Jason Kelce's quote, "Hungry dogs run faster," and it's a good reminder to me when those things pop up and I see some of the difficulties I was and how I sounded and just the comfortability, all of that played into one, and it's keeps me hungry to keep pushing forward. So it's also a testament to you guys for listening every day, giving me a reason to just not talk into my computer every day like I'm some crazy person. So be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening or watching it. Subscribe to the YouTube. All of that stuff plays into the algorithm, and we've definitely grown a lot since that time in Mexico. So we want to continue to do so. I have a lot of good things on the horizon, and your help is definitely appreciated in that, because it is tough doing this, which is turning the more I get into it and the bigger this grows, the more it's turning into a real part-time job, which is tough to do with a full-time job and 2 kids. But it's definitely a passion of mine, something like I said, we talked about Jason Kelce's "Hungry Dogs Run Faster," and it's a good reminder to me of how far we come and still where I want to go. So thank you for all of your support. Let's continue to grow this thing. I truly believe in what we're doing and what I have going on here. So if you agree, like and subscribe, and thank you for listening. As always, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. And in honor of Jason Kelce, I asked, who was the best athlete to play their entire career in Philadelphia? Surprisingly, 44% of you thought it was Bobby Clark. Followed up by Mike Schmidt with 38%. Jason Kelce off in the distance. No love for Chuck Bednarik. But I will say there was a few write-ins, and I figured this was going to happen, and I purposely didn't include him because he was still an active player. But Joe got a lot of support, as well as the Sixers rep. I know I was having trouble finding one, and I don't necessarily disagree, but I just wanted to keep him because, especially in the NBA, guys want to continue to play. They're old. Their team lets them go. So I didn't want to include him, but he certainly would have made the list. If he retires tomorrow, he certainly would make this list. I hope he doesn't retire tomorrow. But as always, thank you for participating in the question of the day. We'll have another Jason Kelce related question later in the show. And if it does seem like I'm doing a lot on this, I mean, it's not every day that a legend and a Hall of Famer retires. So we want to make sure, if I was doing a podcast back when B-Dog was playing, I would have done the same thing. So more on that later in the show. I mentioned just where we've come, and this podcast in particular has grown to the point where I've sort of retired Back to the Future. So Back to the Future will focus specifically on the longer format episodes, interviews and previews and things like that. I didn't want to completely get rid of it because I wanted to keep this completely separate than things I do there. But I still wanted to have that there for, like I said, the interviews like I did with Brian a couple weeks ago. Be sure to check that out. A League Apart. It's a great exhibit at Camden County College, and if you can go. If you happen to be driving through there, you'll be amazed and blown away at the memorabilia they have and just the rich history of the legacy of the Negro League. So be sure to check out A League Apart. There is a link in the description for that. But be sure to subscribe to all of basically the best way to stay in touch is to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Everything gets posted to YouTube. Follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont at Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. If you're local and you want to be friends on Facebook, I post stuff there. But I've been posting shorts too to help grow this thing, where I'll post a a 2-minute clip of whatever this day in Philly sports history is. I can't believe I didn't think of it until like 3 days into Women's History Month, but I've been cutting up clips of our Women's History Spotlight and posting that. So just anything, spread the word, guys. All right, enough shameless promotion for that. And I lied. One more. There is a Phillies preview coming up. I'm looking to record, if I'm looking at my calendar, probably at some point next weekish, late in the week, so that way I can get it out the week of the 18th, and then the Phillies start that following week. Again, as superstitious as I am, I want to make sure I don't jinx it like I did last year. Poor Rhys Hoskins went from being the starting first baseman on a World Series team to having a torn ACL and playing in Milwaukee. All because I jinxed it with the recording of the preview. And yes, I will go to, I believe that it was all me, not anything else that had that happen. But like I said, just subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I do appreciate it. And spread the word. That's the big thing. Spread the word. It's funny. Every time I'm out at a restaurant or something, I have business cards, and I'll just leave them in the bathroom every time. Like I bring a stack, and I'm just like, here we go. So I don't know if Redstone Drescher. I apologize if I'm creating more work, or maybe people are picking it up and listening. Hit me up if you found this podcast because of a business card I left at the Redstone and Drescher. Let me know. 267-495-8531 gets you in on the voice and text line. All right, some Phillies news, and this dollar dog night story will not die. It's kind of funny. Apparently, Shake Shack is going to offer a few dollar dog nights at the restaurants here, or the restaurants here in the Philadelphia area. I've had Shake Shack burgers before. They're not bad. I've never had a hot dog from Shake Shack, but I mean, if they're going to do dollar dogs, it might be a good dinner idea. Go pick up a 12-pack of hot dogs, 12-pack of Miller Lite, and just have at it. But I thought that was funny. I saw that on the news this morning. So Shake Shack, and this whole thing is not, the dollar dog night is not dying. And go to phillygoat.com. They have the Bring Back Dollar Dog Night shirts, which are amazing. This is a story that just is not going anywhere. But on the field, giving the update on the Jake Cave versus Christian Pache battle for that final roster spot, which again was all dependent upon Johan Rojas getting the starting center fielder job, but he's not been hitting so well. So I don't know. That's like the wrench into all of this. But Cave yesterday went 2 for 2 with an RBI while playing first base. Christian Pache was in the outfield, went 0 for 2. We'll give the edge for this round to Jake Cave. And it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. Zack Wheeler made his first start of the spring, went 2 innings, gave up 2 hits, 1 earned run, and 4 Ks. And was trying out a new pitch, a splitter, and said he threw 2 of them yesterday. One wasn't so good, but the one felt really good, and it's kind of looking to get over that the Cy Young hump with that. So I mean, and he's been pitching better into the later he gets in his career. So if he can add another pitch like that can be effective, gladly I'll take it. We will have more on the Phillies tomorrow. And like I said, stay tuned for that Phillies preview on Back to the Future. All right. So some Eagles news and kind of wrapping up the Kelsey thing. I did say we're going to spend some time on it, but I don't want to play it out and drag it out. But one thing I did hear yesterday driving around, and driving around, I actually saw this on Twitter too the other day. The people were openly wondering whether or not Kelsey knows something that we don't about the team, and that played a role in his retirement. Meaning that if he really felt and thought that they could win the Super Bowl next year, maybe he would have played one more year. I mean, he obviously was playing at a high level. And I can see the argument. I can see where people were coming from with that. But at the same time, this has been, if you go back to the Super Bowl year, like this has been 3 years in a row where he's been contemplating retiring to spend time with his family and things like that. And with I don't know. I mean, I think that you certainly could make the argument for that. I just don't. and maybe this is me being wishful thinking too. I'll be completely open and honest with you. I don't necessarily think it was the state of the team as much as he just wanted to hang out and spend time with his family. I think it's easy to kind of forget that these players are human beings as well, and put it all about football. But, I mean, listen, he's got young kids. He's got more than enough money to do what he wants, and he's probably going to end up making more money not playing football next year than he would have playing football. So I think you take it all into consideration. But let me know what you think. This is not a question of the day. This is just what are your thoughts? I mean, there could be something to it. Is there more to Jason Kelce retiring than him just wanting to be able to spend time with his family and truthfully getting out at a time when you're not going to have CTE and like you're in relatively good shape? I don't know. It's definitely worth like talking about. I don't necessarily buy into it. And again, that could just be me being blinded and hopeful that it's not that they're not a Super Bowl contender, but we'll see. Free agency coming up Monday. They can legally tamper, which is the dumbest. Why don't they just call it? They can begin talking with free agents. Legally tampering means like ultimately they're like acknowledging that there was shady stuff going on before, and I don't know. It just seems like the weird thing, but anyway, teams can start talking to free agents on Monday. Officially can start signing on Wednesday. But that does bring us to the question of the day, and this one is a slight variation on yesterday's. And I'm really, really interested to see which way this one goes. But who is the most beloved Philadelphia athlete of all time? Is it Jason Kelce? Is it Chase Utley? Is it Allen Iverson? Or is it Brian Dawkins? And I left Nick Foles off that list because I'm like, I can't necessarily put Nick Foles, but I certainly could understand the argument to put him on there. And basically Twitter only allows you to do 4 options, so that's why I give you 4 options. If you've ever wondered, I'll peel back the curtain a little bit. When I posted on Twitter and LinkedIn and a lot of the social media places, they only allow you 4 options, so that's why there's only 4 options. So Nick Foles just barely made this list. But I don't know right now, off the top of my head, who I'd pick. I mean, if I had to make a decision right now, I would go Iverson. But again, all the other 3, plus Nick Foles, plus some of the other guys that are left off the list, certainly could understand. But 267-495-8531 gets you in on the voice and text line. Leave me a voicemail. Leave me a text message. This is a good question. I want to see where everybody's head's at. So let me know, who is the most beloved Philadelphia athlete of all time? Is it Jason Kelce, Chase Utley, Allen Iverson, or Brian Dawkins? And do not pull the cop out and say, oh, it's all 4. No, you got to choose one. And if it's somebody that's not on this list, let me know who that is too. 267-495-8531. Let's have a little bit of fun on a Wednesday. Flyers trade deadline coming up on Friday. Lots and lots of rumors swirling, so we'll keep an eye on that as we get closer. Sixers, no Maxey yesterday. He was in the concussion protocol or whatever the NBA's version of the concussion protocol is. They lost 112-107 to the Nets. It was sloppy. And yes, they battled. And I saw this. Keith Pompey in the Inquirer wrote this. And I was thinking the same thing watching this game. Like you could say, oh, they battled without their 2 All-Stars. But that game was there to be won. I think it was a winnable game. It was sloppy. And these are the games with or without Tyrese you need to win. And I'm looking at like Buddy Hield. You need to play better. These guys need to step up. And this is why the other day I asked about the third option. We don't have a third option. So Maxey's off or what, and like it's just frustrating. But hopefully we're going to hear some updates on Joe soon. But this is and then it's going to be, I don't know. You can't lose this game. I don't care if Maxey's not playing or not. You cannot lose this game. Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame's ballot is officially out. And while fans don't have say in the official balloting, I was trying to say balloting and voting. Fans don't have a say in the official voting. you do get a chance to have your voice heard. Go to phillyhall.org/fansvoice, fill out the bracket, and you could win a chance, or you could win 2 free VIP tickets to the ceremony in November if your ballot most closely matches what the official ballot is for this year's induction class. Go check that out. I'm telling you, once you see it, this is a stacked ballot. I mean, just looking, I've been counting votes all week and kind of looking at where it's going, man. This has potential to be a star-studded. So go to phillyhall.org/fansvoice. Check out the ballot. Fill it out for your chance to win 2 VIP tickets to the ceremony in November. And again, this is where I wish I had a producer or a Fred Norris. I need a sounder here. But it's time for the Bubble Watch. Villanova takes on Seton Hall tonight. And they are still safely, barely, but safely in the first 4 bye line on bracketology with Joey Brackets. A lot's going to change tonight, but this is a huge game, especially with Creighton on the horizon for Saturday. If they can win this, I think I can safely say I think they would be in the tournament. They might fall to the last 4 in if they don't win another game, but I think they're safely in if they win this game against Seton Hall tonight. Temple women finish up their regular season tonight against Florida Atlantic in the Battle of the Owls. The American tournament starts Saturday. We'll have a close eye on that. Very much looking forward to that. We're going to do a lot of Temple women's basketball the rest of the show today, so stay tuned for that. But Nova takes on Seton Hall tonight, and the Temple women play Florida Atlantic in their last regular season game, and that is today's Bubble Watch. And if you're watching, you see me actually doing the bubbles going up like I'm in the ocean. God, all you got to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I can get some real sound effects here. Anyway, I mentioned Philly Goat with the Bring Back Dollar Dog Night. Get your Phillies gear. A few of you already in the past 2 weeks have bought a pair of the fans. I'm telling you, get the fans. I'm getting a pair of fans. I'm getting a pair of the Cape Mays. They have Fanatic shirts to match the fans. Get the Optimus Bryce shirt, whatever. Believe. Whatever you got to do, go to phillygoat.com. I'm telling you, those canvas loafers are amazing. Somebody else just bought a pair the other day. So get your canvas loafers, the fans, from phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. All right, I mentioned Temple basketball, and that's where we're going to go for the rest of the show. First, we're going to go back to the year 2006, and on this day in 2006, the number 18 ranked Temple women's basketball team beat the George Washington women 59-54 to win the Atlantic 10 tournament for the 3rd straight year, and it was their 4th and 5th. Candace Dupree had 25 points, 10 rebounds for the Owls. Kamisha Harrison had 18, and Temple punched their ticket to the NCAA tournament for the 3rd straight year under Coach Dawn Staley. That year they went 24-7, 12-4 in the A10. Good enough for a 6th seed in the Big Dance. Unfortunately, they lost to the number 11 seed Hartford in the first round of the tournament up in Trenton. The Owls have never made it past the second round. Could this be the year that they put together a Cinderella run, out of the American? We shall see. But Dawn Staley did such a good job while she was there. But on this day in 2006, the number 18 ranked Temple women's basketball team beat George Washington for their 3rd straight and 4th out of 5 years, I should say, Atlantic 10 title, making the tournament for the 3rd straight year as a 6th seed before falling in the opening round to Hartford up in Trenton. All right, and finally today, sticking with the Temple women's basketball theme, today's Philly Sports Women's History Spotlight is Marilyn Stephens-Franklyn. She is a star basketball player from Philadelphia. She started Simon Gratz before she actually went to Temple. While at Gratz, she was an All-American. While at Temple, she also was an All-American, Kodak All-American her senior year. She's the only Temple player ever to be a first-team All-American. There was a couple. Candace Dupree was one. Mia Davis was another. I think they were second and third team, respectively. But Marilyn Stephens-Franklyn is the only one to ever be first-team All-American. She is a two-time Big Five Player of the Year, four-time All Big Five first team. Back in the mid-'80s when that actually meant something. She was a two-time Atlantic 10 Player of the Year, led Temple to their first two Big Five titles in team history, and their first ever 20-win season. Her number 33 is retired at the Leah Core Center, one of only two women to have that honor. Candace Dupree is the other, her number 4. She did play overseas for a year before coming back and coaching. She was an assistant at Temple, and then she went down to Florida and became the first female to coach a boys' high school team down in Florida. Then she came back home and coached 4 seasons at Cheney. Ironically enough, she coached the women's team, and her brother was the coach of the men's team at the time. Currently, she is a teacher of consumer and family sciences at the Coatesville Intermediate School, my alma mater. She's a Big Five Hall of Famer, a Temple Athletics Hall of Famer. She graduated from Temple as the all-time leading scorer and rebounder. Mia Davis recently took over her scoring title, so she's the number 2 scorer in Temple history, still the number 1 rebounder. She's in the Philadelphia Black Basketball Hall of Fame, the Black Women in Sports Legend Hall of Fame. She was part of the inaugural Atlantic 10 Legends class with Coach Cheney. She's in the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, one of the best from Philadelphia to ever do it. Quite honestly, probably the best overall women's player to ever come out of Temple. Marilyn Stephens-Franklyn is today's Phillies Sports Women's History Spotlight. She was a high school All-American, college All-American, and now she's helping shape the minds of America's youth as a teacher. But one of the greatest, as just evident by all the Hall of Fames she's in. Just a phenomenal player, phenomenal person. Shout out to you, Marilyn Stephens-Franklyn, today's Philly Sports Women's History Spotlight. On this day, back in 2006, the number 18 Owls won their third straight Atlantic 10 championship and their third straight tournament under Dawn Staley, beating the George Washington women 59-54. Be sure to vote in today's question of the day. Who is the most beloved Philly athlete of all time? Kelsey, Iverson, Utley, or Dawkins? It's a real who's who. If it's somebody else, let me know that too. We will continue to watch the bubble for the Temple Lady Owls as well as the Villanova Wildcats. Be sure to like and subscribe. Go to Back to the Future. Watch the interview for League Apart. Let me know what's wrong with the Sixers. I don't know. And let me know how you're feeling about Dollar Dogs. Should we go to... I think maybe we should do a watch party one night. One of the nights that Shake Shack does it, maybe I'll get together at the Shake Shack here by my house. I'm pretty sure there's one in Drescher. Maybe we'll do a watch party. We'll get a dozen dogs, 12-pack of Miller Lite, whatever. Let me know if you'd be interested. That might be fun. But it's Wednesday. Don't be fooled now. It's going to rain later this afternoon. It's supposed to be a soaker. So go enjoy your Wednesday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.